Alright, this will be one of a few more Russia videos to come. Also, if you would like and subscribe, that would help out a lot. Okay, thank you. Today I will show you how to get the secret Tsar Wrangel path for Russia. This is also a Savinkov guide, as I will spend most of the time with his focus tree, so yeah. Alright, let's go. Alright, today on the agenda is the Russian Republic in Kaiserreich. Now, I have promised a Russia guide a while ago, so today we're finally here, finally got to it, finally decided to go for it. And yeah, it's not gonna be like the Germany guide, of course, because Russia, first of all, has like a lot more paths. For Germany, I mainly did this because they, in fact, really just had 3 paths. Still, the Republic and Bauer are there, but that's for another time. Today, it's all about Russia. Now, with Russia, I will do a couple of videos where I go through just some paths. Today, we are gonna go for Wrangel, which is also kinda a Savinkov guide, as I mainly have to go through his focus tree first before I can even get to the path I want to go. We have to wait until the Weltkrieg for that. But yeah, now, first of all, what is important for Savinkov and Wrangel both is to consolidate the security services, because we will need this national spirit, and we need to recruit Flegont Keplikov as our advisor, because if we fulfill these, then later on we'll be able to assassinate Semyonov in the Far East, which will let you completely avoid the Far Eastern military uprising. That can be a bit annoying, since you'll have to go back and forth to, you know, make sure you don't lose over there and still manage to capitulate them, as, you know, not capitulating them before killing Germany will make them join Japan and piece you out of the war, which you don't want. So let's start with that focus. Speaking of focuses, what is gonna be important for Wrangel later on is that you save up some focuses here and there that will increase military anger, because we want to increase military anger once the war with Germany starts as much as possible, or like to 8, because then Wrangel can coup Savinkov and establish a tsardom with himself as the Tsar, which is the path we're gonna go for today. So yeah, in the early game I would actually recommend not really pushing military anger that high around the level. A kind of mistake I made in earlier tries of, you know, this guide video, because first of all, later on there are gonna come more events, and also there's like a lot of things where you can boost military anger, which should really not be a problem at all. Another important thing for the Savinkov path is to try and keep your stability high, because there are a lot of things that can decrease it, which we don't really want, since, you know, stability, you know, does something to our factory output, which will not be great if it's that low, since in Kaiserreich you can go into the negatives, which, yeah, not great. Now for our build, we're gonna do the usual SP tanks, and for these we will need flame tanks, as they are pretty important to get a lot of breakthrough. You don't really need it, but it does, it helps, because there are probably a lot of people that don't have access to the facilities and stuff like that. Anyway, we will just be needing a few civs, since first of all, right now our civ count is pretty low, mainly because like a few of those go to Germany, which we will also be trying to, you know, get rid of immediately, because that's pretty problematic giving our enemy civs. Now for the army, what we're gonna do is we're gonna send them around our supply hubs here, just so that they don't attrition unnecessarily and are not in areas where, you know, where conflict is gonna happen. Spoiler, my bad. Try to avoid bigger states with just one supply hub, because that's just not gonna work, but yeah. Something like this should be fine. I guess we can also put them there. But yeah, we can just train them for now. What is also going to be important is getting our air force. Why? Because we want to train them, since we're gonna need a bit of air experience immediately at the start, as we want to change our close air support airframe template, because the one we right now have is garbage. Yeah, this one here, right, yeah. It's this one, it's kind of garbage, it's very garbage. First of all, because if you update your cast without the recon, it's not gonna change this one in the airfield, since it's kind of a hybrid thing, which I hate, but yeah, so we're not really gonna be producing producing these that much. I would also just completely avoid producing them at all. So the 5 factories I would put on CAS, we're gonna put on something else until we have the actual CAS we want. Anyway, we're not gonna build any of these tanks at the start. We will be needing AA, artillery, support equipment, guns, of course. Guns, you can't miss those. And yeah, something like this to start with. Later on, 5 factories from the guns are gonna go on CAS, but right now we don't have good CAS. Now, as for these ships, we're gonna delete all of them. They are pretty unnecessary to produce, and you will not finish them by the time the Weltkrieg starts. I would just recommend building convoys, since these can get pretty problematic if you don't have them. Research-wise, we're gonna start with this. Now, I'm not gonna go too much into the MIOs, because I myself don't fully, have an idea what's optimal here. And most people probably don't even have the MIOs unlocked. So yeah, because Russia has special things with their MIOs, which can give you certain buffs and stuff like that, but I don't want to get into that right now. Well, the only MIO that might be important, which if you don't have them, is the AMO one, since this one can give you 20 speed for your armor, which is a lot, making you be able to equip them with stuff and still having a lot of kilometers per hour on them. So I don't think it really does that much to speed, but yeah, just a warning, if you don't have MIOs, we're gonna be using that for our tanks. Speaking of using that, let's also put it on our trucks so that it gains funds, basically. Yeah. Anyway, that's kinda all the starting setup. We're gonna have more things in here, but right now, first of all, black money is gonna make you produce basically nothing at the start. And I'm gonna wait until I, unlock some more infrastructure from especially this focus right there, which we will be needing to get rid of Black Monday as soon as possible, since Black Monday is gonna literally won't allow us to produce anything. But yeah, that's kind of right now it at the start. That's all we need, that's all we want, and yeah, now we can begin. Now, of course, at the start, going through the events, we will get the event which will now remove Viktor Chernov, who's the leader of the opposition at the start. With his death, we will be able to take control over the Assembly or the Duma, and also the Supreme Courts, the last line of resistance against Savinkov's encroachment to power. Of course, with that said, we also wanna immediately go over there. I will immediately go for the Voshkot program, because with these, first of all, we're gonna get some industry, and we're also gonna try and get rid of Black Monday once that hits us, which is not gonna be too far away since Germany already has it. After this, we're gonna go over to there to try and end the Vilnius Agreement, which we want to do as soon as possible. Like I said, Savinkov is probably the path that doesn't really have anything to quickly get rid of it, as a lot of the other paths, like the Syndicalists, they can get rid of it without Germany doing anything to you, first of all, and also they immediately unlock it, and it's pretty cheap for them. And also these guys, they can have focuses that just immediately get rid of an influence point, and even more if you have power projection here, and also make a lot of things cheaper. Savinkov, sadly, does not have any of these. He has to go through this without any bonuses, so that's why it's important for him to immediately get that. The other paths, they kind of want you to go other things before you go over there, but for him, we can kind of immediately go in there. We don't want to immediately go down here, because once we do that, we're gonna start the resistance against Savinkov, and then we kind of want to immediately go down to this focus to, eradicate the anti-Russian resistance. So we don't want to start that yet. And yeah, that's our focus path for the start here. Now, once the Kornilov putsch happens, I would recommend you not kill him, as that's gonna increase military anger. It's only worth it if you want to immediately go for a Republican or monarchist path, but for now, we're just gonna allow him a trial and retirement. Now, we have 19 political power. I would immediately here recommend getting the Chief Commissar just for the extra 10% political power gain. It's gonna do a lot, because we're gonna be needing a lot of political power as Savinkov. Now, for our Tsar Wrangel path, it is very important to also get Wrangel as our chief of army, or else Denikin is the one that's gonna coup us, which it's just gonna lead to the Republican path, I think. But yeah, so make sure you get him. For funding, we will take it out of the military budget. The other options are just very bad. this one is the least bad in my opinion, because right now you're not gonna produce anything, you can't produce anything anyway, because yeah, we're almost at 100% of that anyway. So it's kind of the one that does the least to you right now. It decreases mill anger, but that's not too much of a problem. And like I said, try to prioritize events where you get stability and stuff like that, and also reduce popular anger. Very important at the start to not have that many problems here and there, and stability is pretty important, like I said. And as for the land reform, we want to try and make it as effective as possible, so always try and click the ones that will make the end result better. After researching artillery, we are gonna go over and start some tank research. We will also be needing this one as soon as possible, since we want to unlock the medium howitzer fast, so that we can start producing our tanks as soon as possible, since they are pretty important. Now I have kind of forgot about the Air Force, which is bad, don't do that, but we're not producing anything anyway right now, so we have over minus 100% factory output, so our factories produce jack shit. Not great, but well, we're gonna fix that, but you know, it just takes a few focuses before we can get to that. Also, we want to go for concentrated industry in single player. The vulnerability doesn't barely really anything, because you're gonna probably have better Air Force than AI anyway. And also, I usually, when I went for this, was mainly just for the retention, but apparently like the factory output you get from that is just like better than these stats. So yeah, would always recommend concentrated in that case. Alright, like I said, now we go over and do end the Vilnius agreement. We wanna cut that down as soon as possible. Now, as for the Voshkot projects, we wanna prioritize the ones that are the fastest, and that also give us civs, since we wanna get rid of Black Monday, like I said. So let's start with Artel Gigant, because it's fast, it gives us 2 civs, and yeah, that's perfect. And we're not gonna increase the worker size at all, I think. I'm probably not gonna spend anything on that. I will just take whatever I get, basically, and spend my resources elsewhere. I find it a bit more worth it. And now, organize relief work, so that we can get rid of Black Monday. And we're gonna spend our 100 political power immediately on acquiring the Buchhaltungs- und Kreditbank, since it's gonna give us 50 PP back. So in reality, this one just costs us 50 political power, but then there's a timer in there until you know, only have spent 50 political power. You get what I mean. But yeah, also when Germany requests compensations, we're gonna give them compensations, because we don't want to give them sanction points. These can hurt you a lot, and you don't want them to hurt you a lot. Anyway, we have some air experience now, so let's change our dive bombers a little bit, make them a little bit better. Also, because I'm seeing it, we need to get rid of that. And yeah, that's now our production line, and we will try and produce a lot of planes. I will also upgrade these fighters, but right now I need a bit more army experience for that. So we, yeah, wait with that. And yeah, these guys are fully trained, right? Yeah, since training them costs oil, because yeah, they have motorized recon for some reason, but we're not gonna use this template anyway. Just gonna keep it for now, since we can use these early templates to easily crush stuff here, there, and also intervene in some wars, but we'll get to that when we get to that. I also, by the way, like a lot to, you know, annex as much territory as possible, so I never really increase any resistance that, you know, increases the chance of, you know, Poland rising up against Germany or Lithuania and stuff like that, because, you know, I want a LARP here, and they're like hindering my LARP if they break free and join me in my faction. I want to annex them, hello? I don't want to cooperate with them. That's lame. Anyway, for the power protection, I want to use international propaganda always, because, you know, the political power. We will need a lot of that as Savinkov, if I have not made myself clear yet. Anyway, now what's really great here is the Savinkov constitution, that it gives you 100 political power immediately. So once we do this, we can immediately do all these free decisions here. So that's kind of great. That's pretty great. We want that since we want to get rid of Black Monday, because right now, you know, we have bit of problems here, but yeah. Oh, and we also have some demands from the Navy and the Army, and we're gonna of course accept them. Luckily, they only want you to do these focuses like halfway through, which is enough time, I would say, but still try to not, you know, miss out, because we don't want to reduce our stability. Now, culture check doesn't matter too much, but this one is a bit more stability, so it matters a bit more. Now, one advantage that Russia has over Germany is that we can easily increase our economic mobilization, which we wanna do. Now, Germany did not want any compensation, so what they did is let German capital get the hell out of Russia. Said, but whatever, maybe for you they will demand compensation, so you might not have that much political power as I have right now. It's kinda a bit RNG what the AI does, but yeah, whatever, try to cope with it. Anyway, the next one we want to do is tax foreign shares, since we get daily political power from that. So like I said, for here we want to kind of prioritize the decisions that give us political power first, since we want to get rid of as many as possible. And, you know, doing these where you get political power back is going to help, you know, get the next decision. So let's do that. And, well, we have our factories now completely back, in the sense of we have more than 15. The roadworks are gonna increase infrastructure in these states here, which we're gonna work with, because we wanna produce in high infrastructure states. So just look at the states and look where they are gonna build them. And I thought I read, yeah, okay, no, I'm blind. But yeah, I think the other ones here are low infrastructure provinces that are increasing, right? Yeah. And like I said at the start, from here on, once we get here, we wanna get down here ASAP, since we wanna get rid of the resistance immediately, because it's gonna decrease our stability, which we don't want. Alright, now the first important thing that I've learned is do not support Carlist Spain. Why? Well, first of all, if they win, they don't join you or anything, they most definitely will join the Entente. Why is that a problem? Well, the Entente is gonna go to war with the Third International, and we don't want France to kinda be surrounded by enemies, as the less enemies they have to deal with, the longer they will hold out. And we want them to hold out as long as possible, so for a lot of the interventions, what we're gonna do is help out syndicalist states. So Italy, we're also gonna help out the Socialist Republic of Italy, but yeah. So here, what we're gonna do is not support any of them. We also get political power from that, so it's not too bad. And we are gonna send volunteers to the CNTFAI. I would recommend Mountaineers, because Spain's terrain is complete garbage. But yeah, can also send some planes over, get some air experience, you know, upgrade some of our planes, you know, kinda important. Can also trade in some rubber now, since now our production debuffs are quite, you know, mitigated. Our production actually does something. And yeah, yes, as I said, we're gonna have some resistance here now. And I wanted to let this fire, you know, kinda late, as we want to get rid of that as soon as possible. If we don't get rid of it, it's going to increase and get worse and worse, and we don't want that. I did pay compensations to Germany, but still I have enough political power now to get partial mobilization. Pretty important to get there as soon as possible. We want to, you know, have our industry pump out stuff pretty fast. I would not build that many civs actually, now that I think about it. So let's just build these civs here, and afterwards it's just gonna be mills. And now I can research flame tanks. So around this time you should be able to do that. These are the only important tanks we're gonna get. We will get this, and of course also the military engineering vehicles. But yeah, now as we are gonna avoid the Eastern Uprising completely, we do not have to renovate the fort here to, you know, be strengthened against the uprising, since, you know, we're not gonna make it happen. We don't need that. Now, production line wise, we're gonna upgrade our guns, and I also added 1 mill to the trucks. We're gonna be needing some trucks here and there, not too much though, as if you know me, we're gonna use some cavalry with our tanks, since Russia, you know, they get cavalry buffs with their focus here, and also more orc. Yeah, more orc. More orc. and I don't have to waste resources on, you know, trying to min-max my speed. Now the next thing here is we're gonna nationalize the oil fields because we don't want to give them oil. That's, you know, pretty straightforward. Now I've max buffed the land reform. Also, I somehow how did I not see that? My god. Anyway, I max buffed that because we get a lot of stability, political power from that one, which we do want. Let's also get Keplikov now because we're gonna be needing him later on. And the sooner we get him here, the better. He also gives us some political power, so it's not all too bad. We will also send some volunteers here in Balkan Wars. Here I would just recommend you send tanks over because their terrain is kind of, you know, allows you this a lot more. And also we want to have some speeds because we want to kind of just, you know, snake around here because once they're at a certain surrender limit, they're just going to peace out, which is great. But looking by how this is kind of looking right now, I don't think they're going to win this. Also something I do, which I would recommend, once you do like interventions, try and be on 4 speed, just so that you can kind of manage multiple, you know, interventions also, and also your other things here. In Kaiserreich, you'll have to manage like a lot at the same time, so I would always recommend going on a lower speed once you get into these things. After getting to this, we will now do artilization, since it's gonna give us some more workers. But after that, we're gonna completely ignore the focuses over here. They are kind of just... Well, this side here is still a bit fine, but like especially this entire side over here is just a big nothing burger. The buffs barely really do anything for you. I feel like getting like the industry things here is way more important. Also, we should look into getting these things done. So after artilization, I will do just that. I think I have enough time for these then. Should have enough time. So pro tip, you can kind of bug this out apparently. Let's get the stability one here now, and I think if this now completes, yep, we can do another one. I will actually not do that. If it happens to you, you can abuse it. I'm just not gonna do it because I don't even know how this sometimes happens. But yeah, we're almost done with that. Now we're gonna go for these things here, since we don't wanna disappoint these guys. They also give me political power for it, so that's actually pretty good. I like that. But yeah, we're dealing with our problems pretty well, and yeah, should be fine now. Should be pretty fine now. Now, for our last advisor, I will go for Alexander Woznozensky, since he's gonna buff our industrial regions, which I have not yet talked about, because right now at the start, I would not spend PP on these. The political power is kind of more important for other things at the start. Now, we can kind of go for it. We already start with one in Moscow, which is great. And we can build a few more around here. Now I would recommend the states where we have not built yet that much, and also states that have a lot of infrastructure. So this, for example, is pretty good. Alright, after having dealt with these 2 interventions, we will have to deal with the Kazakh uprising and, you know, trouble in Central Asia. So let's prepare for that. Usually I just take these divisions, take the cavalry and Cossacks, maybe also some tanks for a good measure, fill up the infantry, make a completely new field marshal so that I don't have to get rid of this order and do it completely anew afterwards. And yeah, now with Savinkov, I don't know if you can actually decrease like how much territory the Kazakhs get, but I don't think with him it's possible. So we're gonna make a fallback line around the states that are gonna join the Kazakhs, so right around there. All these states here will go to them, and yeah, so be careful with that basically. Also Novgorod, we can build this, by the way, so let's do that. It's not gonna finish immediately, so let's wait a second. Other than that, more mills, more mills. Now with this complete, we're gonna modernize the Trans-Siberian Railway and unlock all the industrial focuses over here, which we will be needing to do to get a lot more industry. Now we have this event, and the bottom option is only available if you have done the focus to get this national spirit, which we did immediately at the start. And now we can arrange some arrests, a couple of hundred maybe, and then later on we will get the decision to assassinate Grigory Semyonov, which will make the Eastern Uprising completely be avoidable. And the assassination attempt will be 100% if we also have Keplikov as our advisor, which we do have already, so nothing should be a problem over there. Before we click this though, let's like wait 1 second so that I can get my, you know, thing here done. So let's get the civs here now, and now we can do this. Oh, also, let's get like, yeah, a few divisions down there. I'm just gonna make them go in a circle so that we can take this decision right here. The Belgrade Pact Victorious event just happened now, probably because they still had to deal with the Macedonians. And with that we got 20 power protection now, which we're gonna use. Also, let's do more over here before I forget. Now we will be needing planes later on and stuff like that, so let's increase the production of those before we, you know, have our tank stuff finished research-wise, which should actually be done by now. Or like for the light tanks. Now our medium tanks are perfectly gonna finish with our artillery, so we can immediately pump out medium SPs after this is done, researched. Also for the focus over here, we're gonna be needing to build a northern route and upgrade the Vladivostok railway so that we, you know, unlock also these decisions. And they have rebelled. Let's do an actual front line and fight them. We can here just go on aggressive. Now over here I would though recommend just going around here so that there are not any gaps or anything. And also we wanna get down to the city as soon as possible. And mainly here, like I said, just clear out the gaps so that our units don't get stuck over there. Can happen, doesn't have to happen. And for here we wanna get around the railway down there. We just want the city as soon as possible because then they're easily gonna cap. Over here just a supply hub and a railway and another supply hub and a railway. And the rest can just do whatever they want. Now I will do urban housing program. After that, establish the DRS, mainly for the stability we get from them. Pretty useful. Let's also upgrade these railways for the stability. And now we can also do our last influence crackdown Germany. So let's just get the resources, I guess. And that's gonna be it for them then. Other than that, we should also abuse our washcut program. Let me just look at the infrastructure where these are getting built. I don't think I have any level 4 infrastructures left here that are not already kind of built pretty heavily with factories. Yeah, so I guess let's just take Perm, pretty far away also. And actually, how much does Kursk have? Kursk has more open slots. Yeah, let's take Kursk actually. And then we're gonna build some mills over there. Yeah, can also put this up here. And now we can just basically focus on the states with level 3 infrastructure. Yeah, we're gonna build them up here now. More mills, we need a lot of mills. We can spam them kind of out now, so that's great. Yep, and that's why we are rushing down there. Also make sure that these guys now are on a new order here, because we don't want to abandon this front line here. The rest of them can just move south now. Over here, let's just, you know, capture the railway, send supplies and stuff. And that was the end of the Central Asian revolt. Now we can just fully annex them. We're also gonna annex Bukhara afterwards. I killed them so fast that Bukhara actually has points. Let that sink in. Can they like stop? Bro, you're gonna get annexed anyway. Screw your territory. And we'll just put them back on this one. And now we're also gonna convert them to this template, which we're mainly gonna use to hold. And not gonna use this one, this is too expensive and useless. We're mainly gonna use the tanks to push anyway. And speaking of, we're also gonna train a lot more troops because we're gonna be needing them. Don't train too much because your manpower is kinda down with the washcut program. So let's train like just a few. Just a little bit. Speaking of manpower, let's do the Russian cause for that 1% extra recruitable population. Also for the planes, we want survivability studies and heavy machine guns. You know, we want to make our planes pretty good. After we got our medium tanks, we're gonna go over here and get some field hospitals for extra HP on the tanks. Like I said, we wanna like make them suffer. Speaking of tanks, let's first do our light tank template that we're gonna be using for recon only, so they don't really need that destructive force. First at AMO, then here we're just gonna leave them on their cannon here. Though we're gonna replace this one and we're gonna add some sloped armor, maybe some more armor. Why not? The more the merrier. Like I said, on this we're just gonna stack big armor, don't need much more. And we can actually do that, since with cavalry, which we're gonna use, we're only gonna reach 7 kilometers per hour, so this should be fine. Later on, we're gonna replace the cavalry with mechanized. For your information, I'm not gonna use cavalry for the entire time, but since, first of all, getting mechanized is gonna take a bit, and also then building it up is gonna take a bit, this will do for now. And let's assimilate the bandit states, since we still have stability debuffs. After 7 projects, we can also end the Washcott program. I will end it now. You can continue it, doesn't matter too much, but I kinda just don't need it. And there's also later on an event anyway that kinda wants you to end it then, or else you get hit by some penalties. Whatever the case, I know with my other industry things, so I'm gonna do these now. They're more than enough. We also get some, stability and stuff like that from that now. So yeah, now all the political power is just gonna go into these things here. Try to focus on civs, because we're building mills anyway right now, and we're gonna need some more civs, because we are only building mills, makes sense. And here is the event, the Honghutsi Ataman. We can put an end to it now. As we see, since we fulfill the requirements, we can have 100% chance on the assassination of him. Though keep in mind, this event costs 100 political power, so yeah, a bit annoying, but whatever. I'd rather just not have anything over there. We're just gonna give them autonomy, because it barely really does anything against us. We don't have to spend that much on it. Anyway, let's do these focuses over here now, since they give us some mill buffs. Very great. Now the flame tanks, we're gonna stack breakthrough on them as much as possible, and we're gonna produce these for our tanks. Since they're just on the support line on our tanks, we don't need that much factories on these things. Also converting the old light tanks, since they're more than enough to keep us fed for the tanks. And let's get to the artillery tanks, SP tanks, self-propelled artillery tanks. And they're gonna look something like this. A lot of soft attack, don't really need that much breakthrough, and yeah, a lot of armor so that these losers can pierce them. Which I think it's a bit overkill with the armor. I don't need that much, but I'm just gonna go with the max one. And yeah, now all the factories are gonna go on these things, because as you can see, we have a year maybe to prepare, maybe even more, depends on the bread level, the world tension level. So yeah, and we want to start the war as soon as we can, because the longer we wait, the better. Germany is just gonna scale endlessly now, which is not great for us. We want to have this happen as soon as possible. But yeah, we will need a lot of SP tanks. So that's why the rest of the factories will go on these things. We can also now start training a bit of the Air Force, since now we actually have planes. But yeah. Oh, and we should help out Italy, which are losing for some reason. Let's just send our elite cavalry. They're gonna deal with that. And with military vehicle engineer, whatever thing, research, we can now get this armor support vehicle, which we're also gonna produce for our tanks. These things, by the way, we can also assign AMO to, just so that they also have speed, but their speed is probably not that problematic anyway. Yeah, these are all the focus we're gonna be taking over there. Now let's actually do these focuses here, because we do want the cavalry buffs from them. Now here I took this because I do want the armor production cost reduction, as that's gonna help us a lot producing our tanks and stuff. The rest there is kinda whatever, I don't need variants, I also don't need the research speed anymore, I don't need the rocket artillery, and yeah, I'm happy with this. By the way, also, for later on, do not do this focus, or I don't know if that actually affects the decision over here, reform the Cossack hosts, because they do unlock your template here. I actually don't know right now, because I've never done that, this first and then, trying to reform the Cossack hosts, but whatever. Save this focus up for later on. We don't need the decision right now anyway, because reforming the Cossack hosts and abolishing them is gonna give you 2 military anger. So this is mainly important for Wrangel, for Savinkov, do whatever you want. But yeah. Alright, let's get into the doctrine. Kryn. We will be taking Grand Battle Plan, and we will be taking Assault Infantry, since all of these buffs here are gonna apply to our tanks mostly. Of course, self-propelled support, because what are we building? Right, SPs, so might as well buff them. And we will also get Grand Assault and Armored Spearhead. Well, this one mainly for the breakthrough at the start immediately. But yeah, not right now. I want to have the XP to upgrade my templates, you know. Of course, once we have it researched, we can also upgrade our fighters to this. Higher machine gun is gonna exceed the thrust, and I wanna keep it on one engine. So this will do to decimate the Reichspakt Air Force. Now for infantry setup, we're gonna basically take generals that have infantry leader or things like that. So all these guys here. We're also gonna get rid of this now and set up border defense order. But some of these, I need to convert this, but some of these here we will have on an actual order around there, because the border defense order here, they also see this as a border and then have divisions on these tiles, or like these two tiles here, which is kind of annoying. So I would just do it like this. And the rest can go around here. And that's basically our infantry line. Here we kind of only need 2 of these, and the rest with some infantry I'm still training is gonna go on these borders down here to secure them. We are also gonna add some motorized supply transportation here, because the supplies here are kinda ass. Also, the infantry divisions are gonna get some engineer company. They're gonna get some engineer company and also some support anti-air. We should also get limited conscription, by the way. Might be smart. I don't know. Also, not to forget, we should upgrade some of the airports over here, since we do want our air force, you know, to exist over there. Focus-wise, I am now kind of done over there. I will not go down here because this is gonna decrease mill anger. If you don't care for the Wrangel path, you can do whatever you want. But for now, I'm just gonna leave this up in the open. And I guess we can do this. Forgot to mention it, but from a focus here, we got 2 tank divisions, which I converted to my template, so now we have 4 divisions out. Also, I don't know, this is the full template, by the way, that we're gonna be using. So, yeah. Okay, I accidentally clicked something from this event now that fired here, and I don't know what. So that sucks, I guess. So I don't know who's gonna be the priority now. I myself would recommend you prioritize Ukraine first, but we'll see what I have to kill first now. Oh my god, I hate when, like, on the middle of clicking things and the event just pops into my mouse. Whatever. Now we're gonna get the supply genius, logistic genius, whatever, and also the infantry expert. And I sent my tank over here now because I was not getting through with the cavalry. Surprise, surprise. Just to clear them out here in the south, which worked wonders. They suffered, I think, like a lot of casualties. Yeah. Let's also make them 20 whiffs. Do I have more infantry equipment? No, right? No. Yeah, I would keep them around this anyway. Should be fine, should be fine. Now, with the 5th column, what we want to do here mainly is just, yeah, increase the compliance. That would be great. It's honestly the only really worthwhile thing down there. The rest I'm just gonna leave for now. Yeah, I don't need it. Anyway, now situation-wise, what we have here is, first of all, we have the Nordic Federation, so they're gonna, you know, completely stay out of the war, which you might not be as lucky as I am with that, apparently. So for them, it's kinda like, you don't really like, I've never seen Norway be in the Reichspakt, so they don't matter. But Sweden will often join the Reichspakt, so maybe with them you'll have to do some things here, I don't know. But mainly important is to hold off Finland, which, yeah, they're a problem. So 24 divisions on them. I will not really push here or, you know, look at this front. I will just leave it be. Same goes for this one down there, except maybe later on. Once we cut them off of ports down there, they can't really effectively send divisions here, and also they're gonna try and probably send divisions away, which is then our cue to move in there, destroy these, whatever. But they shouldn't pose that much of a problem. I have the Cossacks and infantry down there. They're mainly gonna hold that. 2 Cossack divisions over here just to hold the strait here, which should not be a problem at all. And my main big infantry stacks are over here, holding the Eastern European states off, while my tanks do magic, which which I don't even know if that's my target now. I don't, like I said, I have no idea what I selected with the event here, which sucks, but yeah, whatever. And my Air Force is also existent, also training more, because the more the merrier. And they're basically there where I'm pushing to support me as much as possible. And the Britain Internationals should have a pretty free border around here. They have Socialist Italy, they have Spain, which they don't have to, you know, put forces on now. So it should help them out a lot. Germany also lost Poland, but Austria's not gonna stay out of that for long. Oh, they have Bulgaria, though, which kind of sucks. But yeah, oh, Iran is winning, which is great. And I don't really care what anything else is going on. But yeah, that's how it looks for me. Might not be as great for you or as bad for me. Maybe there could be even less. Like, for example, Belgium could just not be in the Reichspakt, which would also be very helpful for me, since that means France will last probably a little bit longer. Though most importantly, like I said, is Socialist Republic of Italy, Spain and Bulgaria, you know, or like Serbia and Romania being on top here. That is what you want to have. And yeah, now we're just gonna wait until world tension is high enough, which, by the way, that's pretty down, man. The hell? Actually, it's 1940. What the hell happened? Okay, speaking of world tensions being down, now it's gonna get increased to oblivion. Didn't increase enough. It kind of stopped at 71, which is not enough. And then, yeah, more is probably gonna happen. Just gotta wait a second. And our last military high command advisor we're gonna pick is gonna be Pyotr Krasnov, because first of all, he buffs cavalry, which we're using in the tanks, if you remember. Plus, he also gives us some supply consumption reduction, which is great. Okay, I have no idea what's going on. This first world tension. Finally, my god. No, I will not do that. Oh my god, man. Was it that hard to just up it, man? God damn it, man. War has begun, and luckily I accidentally selected the correct nation to destroy first, which is Ukraine, because I want to get some encirclements at the start, and they're just, you know, the best to get a lot of encirclements. And also I like pushing through them a lot more, because then I can kind of, you know, reduce my front line a little bit. So now, let us destroy the Reichspakt. Alright, so I kind of screwed up a bit and my microphone was muted for the entire last 20 minutes what I have recorded. So just to sum up what I was talking about, what you should be careful of. So at this point I stopped the time-lapse or like the fast-forward gameplay because at this point Germany was fucking cooked because they were almost dying to France and the Third International, which actually surprised me. Usually it's like they push more through Austria and stuff like that with Italy, but this time apparently Germany just completely sucked balls. But yeah, so what's kind of important is before you know, capitulate Germany, or you know, before you like win the war, if you want Tsar Wrangel path at this point, well, first of all, during the gameplay I had done a few focuses that of course boost the mill anger if you've seen them, and now what I'm doing is trying to abolish the Cossacks, which adds another 2 mill angers, which will put us to 8, which is what we want, because then Piotr Wrangel will coup Savinkov, and with him coupping Savinkov you will unlock the special Black Baron focuses and also the unique path that he actually gets, because I don't think you can actually get the SORs in charge, or like Vasily Shulgin in general in charge as like any other path. So it actually also has, you know, it's not just, oh, you know, you have Wrangel SR instead of the Romanos, but here's the generic monarchist tree. You can actually get a unique path with it, and that is the SR path. So if you do this, I would also recommend you do that if you want a unique experience, but you could also just go, yep, he's now a constitutional monarch, yippee, woohoo. But yeah, after all this, I just cleared up some stuff here and there, and while I was at war with the Ottomans, all I did there was to, you know, get my to go down the path where I just, you know, go full autocracy. And yeah, then we have this ending event, which I ended it on, and yeah, that's basically all. I didn't go to war with the Third International or stuff like that because I don't really care that much about them at this point. Like the borders I kind of want to have, the states I want to have, they never really touch them anyway, so I barely really care about them. And if you want to beat them after all this, I would recommend you you make your infantry still kind of let it be around 18 width or 20 width. If you go too high, they might just not reinforce and you just get constantly pushed back. That did happen once. Otherwise, just go like, especially the Air Force, you should try to win that air war against them. It's pretty easy if you go with heavy fighters. Just put a lot of armor on them, a lot of air attack on them, and then they just shred the Air Force. So yeah, that was basically everything. And at the end, I will say that I will cover Outer Russia paths too. And look, you can let me know down in the comment which Republic path you would like to see. And for the Syndicalists, I have decided to go Syndicalists, so like the VST basically. The left SRs, they are for me kind of a bit like Savinkov. They're like the second easiest path for Russia, in my opinion. So I would not do them. And also the Totalists, if you want to see like Totalist victory, you could watch my live stream on them. But I feel like the VST is like the hardest Syndicalist path, that's why I want to go down this one. So yeah, thanks for being here, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. And please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below, and see you next time. Goodbye.